Okay, Phil.
Hi.
It's time for ups and downs, isn't it?
It is.
And I have to be quite quick because after this, we're literally going to your place to shoot something that I'm not going to reveal what it is, but it'll be on the channel soon. But I am not looking forward to it at all. So let's just. I'm going to try and stay happy. It's time for all the ups and all downs from Smackdown Live from Providence, Rhode Island. Sadly, I did not get any Providence facts because there's quite a lot of points to get through. So let's just get straight into it. Here we go. JBL. First of all, Jinder Mahal came out. And the Singh brothers came out and introduced him, and he had a celebration because it's Indian Independence Day, or it was yesterday, and apparently that's a bad thing in the world of WWE. In the WWE universe, Indian Independence Day is a heel day that should be booed. They got this woman out, she actually looks like a sort of Indian version of my own gran, and I felt really bad because she was in the ring, she didn't look evil at all, she looked like a lovely old woman singing the Indian national anthem, lads in the crowd, boo! F*** you! So yes, Jinder had a traditional Indian celebration. It was booed mercilessly. And then it was interrupted by Shinsuke Nakamura, who cut a limited but good promo, I guess, about how, look, it might be an Indian Independence Day, but in Japan, it's the day we remember our fallen war heroes. And that means that at SummerSlam, prepare for war, I'm going to take your belt and all the rest of it. And as nice as that ending was, the rest of it was kind of just distasteful, especially given current events in the world of US politics. I'm going to give it a down. It was silly and kind of one-dimensional and old-fashioned as well. Next up, Natalya versus Becky Lynch. Natalya won with the sharpshooter. Becky tapped out. Right, that's all right. I'm going to think with my head and not my heart for once, and I'm going to give it an up because it was the right result and it was a decent match. And even though Becky lost and tapped out, it's still fine. After the match, Natalya put on the sharpshooter again. Naomi, who'd been on guest commentary, ran in and chased her off. Solid, normal stuff. Builds nicely to Natalya versus Naomi at SummerSlam. Next up, a backstage segment with Lana and Tamina. Tamina goes, Lana, why haven't I got a match this week? And Lana goes, because no one pays attention to you and no one knows that you're good. Which is, you know, a bit close to the bone. Tamina is one of the afterthoughts of the SmackDown Women's division, but don't just say that to this sort of woman who's twice your size and you're meant to be on her side. I guess they're going to have Lana as Tamina's proper manager going forwards because Lana said, look, you need to listen to me and you need to learn about my kind of intellect and my opportunism to get forwards in SmackDown, and that's fair enough, but I just think this promo buried Tamina slightly too much, and it should have been more like Lana kind of psyching her up rather than going, you're shit right now, listen to me and you'll get better. I'm going to give it a down. Also, Lana's quite a good actress, Tamina's quite not. So, but maybe she'll improve, and that's the whole point of having a manager, but for now, it gets down. Now this one was a rematch from last week. It was another, because Rusev and Chad Gable had an awesome match last week and it was great. This time they didn't really have a match, they had a kind of, you know, one of those angle matches that lasts about a minute and then the storyline happens. It was one of those, Rusev got annoyed because Gable took him, I guess, so close to the limit last week, and because Orton's on his nerves, all made sense. He just took him out of the ring, threw him into the announce table area, around ringside, beat him up, and then got in the ring with a microphone. The match got waved off, got in the ring with a microphone, RKO out of nowhere to us if we had the volume turned down, because the camera was tight in on Rusev and then suddenly Orton came out of nowhere and hit him, but you could hear the screams, you know, as Orton made his way to the ring, because he's a bloody good looking man, he is. It gets an up, it was alright, it's fine. Now it was time to see the hardest man in the world, the best member and strongest on the blue brand. Who is it?
No idea.
Shane McMahon.
Of course.
Yes, of course it is. Shane came to the ring. AJ was also there, and they talked about how even though, you know, Shane and AJ are on good terms now and they've gained each other's respect, Shane's like, if you put your hands on me, AJ Styles, I will fuck you up. He didn't say that, but that was the implication. Kevin Owens then came out, really good heel work, pretended he was on Shane's side, tried to shake hands with AJ and stuff, and AJ was not having any of it. And then they had a bit of a, whoa, we're going to hit each other. AJ went to punch him, Owens ducked, Shane caught the fist, Shane and AJ are looking at each other like that. Owens comes in with a super kick, AJ ducks, catches Shane, and it sounds like I'm calling a match. Duck the super kick, spin around, 1, 2, 3, duck the clothesline, blah, blah, blah. Shane is left lying in the middle of the ring from the super kick, Owens rolls out, starts to head to the back, AJ's conflicted kind of because it wasn't his fault, but no one knows what Shane's going to do. But then I thought Shane kind of didn't sell the super kick enough. As a super kick selling connoisseur myself, I just don't think that Shane sold that quite as well as he should have. Shane got up and he was kind of like rubbing his jaw and stuff. And I guess you could argue that maybe in kayfabe terms, Shane McMahon is stronger than me. And maybe, you know, he's allowed to not sell a super kick for as long. Regardless, it was a good segment, and I'm excited for the match, so it gets enough. Next up, New Day versus the Usos. Good match. I can't complain because they've got great chemistry. I can't complain about the match itself. This gets an up. They were flying around the ring for each other. It was the two more agile members of the New Day, Xavier and Kofi. Big E's quite agile as well, to be fair, but they were great. Everyone did stuff well. It was all really good. The Usos got the win with a double super kick and a pinfall, obviously, and it was just a good match. You can always rely on them to have good matches. But even though I am giving it up to the match itself, I'm giving it down for giving away this match on free television before the show. I mean, it seems like we've seen this match too many times now, and then by the time SummerSlam comes around, maybe we'll think, oh, it's this match again. I would have rather had something, not another rap battle, but another kind of unique thing between the two teams where it's not a match, it's just kind of who can gain the upper hand. I'm pitching like this as if I'm some kind of creative. I'd just come up with something good. That's what I'd do. I'd just come up with something great and then it'd be really good. And if I booked SmackDown, it'd be... No, it's obviously harder than that, but I just wouldn't have put them in a match so soon to the pay-per-view. The Fashion Files. I've given it up to every single Fashion Files episode, I think, since it started, and I nearly gave this one a down. Because it's starting to go on for too long, and it's clear that they don't know what they're doing. Not Breezango themselves, but the writers. This time they found a pie, and the pie was gluten, and the Ascension were there, and they were livid because they live a gluten-free lifestyle or something. They're still looking for clues. And I would have maybe given it a down for two things. One, it was funny, as always. And secondly, they did say at one point, I believe, we need to start solving mysteries, otherwise people are just going to think we're making it up as we go along, which is exactly true. It's like breaking the fourth wall, but it made me chuckle. So this does get an up, but you need to start solving some mysteries, Breezango. And now the main event, John Cena versus Jinder Mahal in non-title action, I should point out. And you know what? I've read some reviews of this match online, and they were all saying this was boring and it was slow and it was kind of it lacked the intensity. But I'm going to give it an up. I had no problems with the match itself. I think you know what I'm going to say after this, but I had no problems with the match itself. I thought it was well decent. I thought that Jinder and Cena worked quite well together. Obviously not as good as Cena Nakamura from the other week, but still pretty damn good. I enjoyed that Jinder kicked out of the attitude adjustment. I thought that made him look quite strong, despite spending a lot of the match like running away and relying on the Stings. But as soon as the Stings were ejected, Jinder was in trouble, which is fine. It's fine for the heel champion to be in trouble as long as he kind of realizes it and sells it, and it's because his help's gone. Then Cena took him out to the top rope, super attitude adjustment, 1, 2, and then, well, shit started to go down. Then, as you probably know by now, Baron Corbin hit the ring, broke up the pinfall. Why does he care who wins or loses the match? By hitting John Cena with the briefcase, beat up John Cena a little bit, and then went back into the ring and shocked the Providence, Rhode Island faithful by cashing in his briefcase. And the match began, and then it lasted about, I think, 5 seconds or so. Cena hopped back up on the apron, distracted Corbin. Corbin did the classic where the wrestlers got to get distracted, but they're facing the other way, so they kind of go, and then just turn around. Went to hit Cena, did hit him, punched him off the apron, roll up from Jinder, 1, 2, 3. Jinder's still the champion. Baron looks like the biggest sucker in WWE right now, and as much as I'm not a big fan of Baron, and I don't really want to see him as WWE champion particularly, this was the wrong way to go about it. What was the point of giving him the briefcase in the first place then? Couldn't they have given it to someone like Sami Zayn, who I would much rather, obviously I'm biased, but I love Sami Zayn. Couldn't they have given it to AJ, Nakamura potentially? Then it could have, they could have gone a slightly different way about, they could have started Nakamura Cena just for the briefcase maybe. There were so many guys in that match that deserved it, and could have been utilised so much better than Corbin. I'm sure he works hard, but could have been utilised better than Corbin. And instead, it's just been wasted. Something's happened backstage, someone's changed their mind somewhere, and it just seems very slapdash. So I know that a lot of people are going to be like, haha, good, they've done well, they've taken it off a guy that I don't like. I disagree. I think this was silly. And I just hope that it leads to good things in the future. Maybe if Corbin gets so frustrated he goes fully mental or something like that, but I'm not a fan of this at all. And finally, I do have to give one final down, just the fact that there wasn't much wrestling on this wrestling show. I think there was about 25 minutes of wrestling on a 2-hour show. It did feel like there was a lot of talking. I understand it's a go-home show, but man, it was very, very promo heavy, and it was structured so that they felt like there were long gaps between the matches as well. And then with that sort of cheap throwaway of the Money in the Bank briefcase at the end, it all kind of felt a bit sluggish. So the lack of matches does get it down. So that's all for this week on Smackdown Ups and Downs. I hope you've enjoyed it. Quite a lot of points this week. I'm sorry about rambling a little bit if I have, but leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think, especially, of Baron Corbin's failed cash-in? I've been Jack from WhatCulture.com. Thank you once again for watching. Thanks Phil on the cam.
You're welcome.
That's all right, mate. And I'll see you